Let's consider the role of buffers and interrupts when data is transferred from primary memory to a secondary storage device. Here we can see a hard drive connected to the system's data bus, which in turn is connected to the main memory. It is also connected to the CPU via an interrupt request channel, or IRQ, via which it can send signals to the CPU. Most hard drives have a buffer built into them. Typically, this has a capacity of 8 or 16 megabytes. This is a somewhat unrealistic picture. There are several details missing. In reality, the hard drive has a built-in interface, which may be an IDE interface, PCI, or more typically SATA. The hard drive interface is connected to the system bus, namely the control bus, the address bus and the data bus, via the I/O controller. Furthermore, the CPU is connected to the main memory via the memory control unit. Nevertheless, this picture allows us to focus on the role of the buffer. So let's consider what happens during a file save operation. In other words, when a file is copied from main memory to secondary storage. The CPU will instigate the transfer by sending a signal to the memory control unit, and the buffer starts to fill rapidly. When the buffer is full, an interrupt is sent to the CPU to signal that no more data should be sent for now. Now the buffer begins to drain, freeing up the CPU and the memory for other processes. This happens much more slowly because it is dependent on the speed of the hard drive, which has moving parts, specifically the rotational speed of the disk and the access time. That is, the average time it takes for the read-write head to move to another position. When the buffer is almost empty, another interrupt signals that the buffer needs refilling, and it begins to fill again rapidly. Interrupts have priorities, so this signal may not be actioned immediately. Once again, when the buffer is almost empty, an interrupt requests that it is refilled, and when it is full, another interrupt signals that no more data should be sent. Let's see that again, a little faster and without the pauses. Notice this time that there is always data being written to the disk. It is never idle. This leaves the processor and the RAM free most of the time to service other processes, and that of course is the purpose of the buffer. To summarize then, a buffer allows devices that operate at different speeds to exchange data efficiently. The hard drive buffer is usually built into the drive itself. The buffer uses interrupts to signal the CPU when it is full and when it needs refilling. The factors which affect the performance of a hard drive include the buffer size, the rotational speed of the disk, the average access time, how long it takes for the read-write head to move from one position to another, and the interface.